will die. These are due to the nuclear wars, and not only just nuclear wars, but also the illnesses that will spread after it. We can imagine that because of the nuclear wars, there are expectations that these illnesses will spread. So these are some of the signs that are mentioned as minor signs. Internationally, women leaders will increase. We've not had, this is probably obviously not an offense to an individual. However, we do see a new era in 20th century where women prime ministers first time were introduced to the world. The first woman prime minister was from Sri Lanka in the 20th century, in the 1970s. And then there were many other female prime ministers in the world, and the first prime minister in the British history, Margaret Thatcher, and many others to be named in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in India, and many of them in the European countries. So the women leaders, international and prime ministers will increase. This is one of the signs mentioned. There are other signs mentioned in the traditions that music will be common. Even in the towns of Mecca and Medina, the holy towns of the Muslims, music will be common. I can bear witness on that. I've seen that myself. When you go to Hajj, you'll find out that people even in Mecca and Medina listen to music. The 5 major signs before it all happens. There will be a murder in Kaaba. While people are going around Kaaba, there will be a murder. A person while doing tawaf, meaning going around Kaaba, a person will be murdered. A person who is a holy person, a person who is a scholar, probably a learned person, a very pure-hearted person will be killed by an evil person in the Kaaba while doing tawaf. That is one of the major signs, not a minor, but a major sign. Before the coming of the last successor who will come and take revenge for that. So these are some of the major signs. One of the other major signs is that the land between Mecca and Medina will be swallowed. So some major earthquake will come or something like that. The place is called Bayda. It still exists today. So a land between Mecca and Medina. Some person will try and attack Mecca and he will be swallowed. The earthquake will eat him up with his army of, I can't remember the exact figure now, so I'm not going to make it up. It is not permissible to relate to the Prophet something that has not appeared, or you cannot make something up. If you're fasting, then your fast is void. I cannot remember the figure now, it's just slipped my mind. But the Prophet had given a figure, I do assure you. He's given a figure that he'll have an army of that many thousand people. He'll attack the town of the Holy Prophet, Medina, and then he'll be leaving Medina and will be trying to go to Mecca. In the way there will be a major earthquake or something like that, Khasf as it is called in the Arabic tradition, that the earth will swallow him, the whole army. So that will be one of the major signs, one of the major signs. There will be two eclipses, sun eclipse and a moon eclipse. I think the moon eclipse is first and then the sun eclipse. That's what I can recall at the moment, in the month of Ramadan. And that will be the final month of Ramadan. So that is one of the two eclipses will come together. In the Laylatul Qadr, or the grand night when the Quran was revealed, there will be a scream from the sky that everyone will hear that the help from Allah is coming. One of the other signs is that everyone will be saying, not just Muslims, everyone in the world will be saying, oh Allah, oh God, send someone to remove the oppression. Everyone will be so sick and tired of injustice and oppression that they will be all calling on to God, send someone now, send someone. We need someone to remove the tyranny and oppression. So that is one of the signs, that is one of the major signs that everyone will be saying it. Now it's increasing, but I still do not agree that everyone is saying it. So it will increase that everyone, meaning that doesn't mean like 100%, that means 99% or something like that, 90%, almost everyone. So the tradition says that almost everyone on the surface of the earth. Now if you look at the 6 major religions, they all believe that a Messiah or a savior will come. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, even Hindus believe that an avatar or a final guide or a final god or goddess will be coming. Even Sikhs also believe that, and also Buddhists. So all major religions believe that a final savior will be coming. So everyone will be calling for that final savior to come and save the humanity and the mankind. So that's one of the major signs. There will be talks of him everywhere. One of the other major signs is that there will be Iraq will be center of attention. So the battles in Iraq will never finish, and the wars in Iraq will continue. So Iraq will be center of attention. Whenever it happens, people think it is the last of the times. Who knows? We don't know. You cannot specify. One of the traditions of the Holy Prophet is kadhib al-waqatun. The ones who specify the time of the last of the days are the liars. So it is not permissible to specify the time, that this is now the last year. You can't say that. Or one of the 500 years will not have the last day. None of that is allowed. You leave it for God to decide. Allah will decide when is the last time and when is the last of the times. So Allah decides that. We don't know. But one of the major signs is that there will be another attack on Iraq. Now, one tradition says by the Holy Prophet that Christian riders will enter. So many people believe that when the troops entered, people riding on those tanks, they are riding. So not especially horse riders will enter. The times have changed, so those will apply. Anyhow, they will drop the walls of certain mosques. Mosque in Kufa, a mosque of different prophets. Nuh had made his boat in that mosque before that flood which the Quran has talked about in the world. So that mosque will be dropped. So these are some of the signs that are mentioned. There is one tradition that mentions over 50 signs. The ratio of population according to one hadith, I heard it on television by one of the Sunni scholars, and I also find it in the Shia books. So it is a unanimously agreed hadith upon from Sunnis and Shia perspective. The ratio of population will be something like 50 women to a man in the final times, before the last of the times. Because of the wars, there will be so many men dying. So that's how many it will be. The Holy Prophet has actually said that. Can I continue further 10-15 minutes? Now, the illnesses that are mentioned that will spread is the word ta'un or plague that will spread on earth. Now, when talking to some of the scientists, and probably you can do more research on it, the ones who are at universities, and find out more, many of the illnesses that are contagious and are killers are types of, clearly mean that same illness that you would get. I don't want to describe that illness now. In olden days, they would only have a particular illness they would call plague, but not only that, it can be anything that is contagious and killers. So that is regarded as plague. So plague will spread. It could be that again same illness, not necessarily that the hadith is mentioning something new, but there could be further developments on types of plague. What type of plague will spread? The hadith has not mentioned, but the hadith from the Holy Prophet does describe after that major war on earth, which will kill something like a third of the world's population. Now, for far along lands, people will not see population. That is something mentioned by the Prophet. He says that people will not see mankind for far distance, implying that population in many areas will vanish completely because of the illness. The Prophet and the Imams have said that if you are living in a town, and if you're a believer, and if the illness spreads, do not leave that town. And if you're out of the town, then do not enter it. For obvious reasons, I don't need to go into the details. So if you're in a town where the illness is spreading, do not leave it. And if you're outside, then do not enter it. Some of the other signs for the last of the time, homosexuality will become legalized. Who could imagine before 20th century that it will be legalized? The first country to legalize it was Britain, where I'm coming from. Not necessarily that I support their ideas, but they were the first few countries that legalized it, and then obviously Americans followed them, and then Australia. They were the only 3 countries that legalized homosexuality and allowed the marriages into gender marriages until the turn of this century. And now many countries in Europe and